daytime television you're able to watch, Barbara, with your schedule?
Well, a very popular soap opera, which scenes like this is taking ketchup.
You really should try and get some rest. After what you've been through tonight.
In spite of what I've been through, I still love her. No matter what has happened, or what will happen, I will always love her. Here from the series Dark Shadows, the irresistible vampire, Barnabas Collins, and he's known to his friends, of course, as Jonathan Frid. It's nice to have you here. I've been reading so much about you and hearing so much about you. Well, what wonderful talent I'm here with. I was watching upstairs. Beautiful singers. And I want to get to you later. I want to compare notes with what you do. I see. That's the kind of a show I'd like to be on. You know, when I think you do 2 shows a week, right?
Yeah, we film 3 a week.
3 a week? Oh, well, then you're almost as bad as we are. You really have to work then.
Yeah.
I was always hoping that on a night show, you'd do 1 or 2 shows a week, and you'd have 3 days to get it up in rather than less than 24 hours as we do. But I guess you do work a very heavy schedule.
Well, is yours? I've never seen your show, but is it live?
No, it's taped, but it might as well be live. But the goofs and everything go right on.
Right.
People identify with that, though. I think with the little mistakes they're made. Oh yes, it's marvelous the way you get letters and they're all excited. They'll go on about the plot and the way you got blocked in behind that wall and the way that fly hit your nose. And it's all part of the same sentence. You were originally signed to do, I think, 3 weeks, and it's turned into a year and a half for you now. Yes. How do you think your character caught on, Jennifer? Well, I think the producer, to start with, decided that it had been a kind of gothic romance, almost sort of Daphne du Maurier type of story, and then he decided that we've got to sort of spook it up a little bit. And so he brought on the vampire, and now he has a monster on the show, and then we're going to have the devil next.
Did you do any kind of research for this role?
I did up to a point, but in a way, I think sometimes it's dangerous for an actor to overly research a role for the simple reason that, as with us, we make up our own rules anyway, much of the time. And I've found this out by doing Shakespeare, the history plays. If you research Richard III, you might as well forget the play, because the play has nothing to do really with the original Richard. I mean, this is Shakespeare's version of Richard to please Queen Elizabeth. It was a political play. And if you, as I did with Richard III when I played it, I researched it tremendously. And then the Shakespeare's play was another story altogether. Sometimes it's not too wise to overly research a role. And with the vampire, we make up our own rules. Now, I leave it pretty much to the writers and the director. Are there any rules a vampire must live by? Oh, yeah.
Yes.
Oh, yes, and I don't always live by them either. Oh, yes, you must get inside that coffin before daybreak, or else what? You just disintegrate, I'm told. I haven't done it yet, so I don't know.
What kind of mail do you get, Jonathan?
Well, it's...
I've read that you get some very interesting mail.
Yes, I guess I do. I'd like to get with a good psychiatrist someday and get him to tell me what's behind it all. But there's something about the bite that gets them.
Is this good for children to watch?
Oh yes, this business of violence, I think, is much overrated. The harm it does, particularly in our kind of show, it's such a fantasy. It's so, in a way, it's removed. In a way, it sure is removed from reality. I mean, no one child is in danger of being attacked by a vampire. And I think it's like, again, it's like going back to Shakespeare. I mean, Shakespeare should be ruled out of the schools. They should not teach Shakespeare according to this contemporary idea of cutting down on violence. There's nothing more violent than a good play of Shakespeare's. His histories, for example, or his Julius Caesar is full of violence. What is this? I think that the theater is theater, and I think that they should leave the networks alone on this violence business. It's up to the individual to control his. The audience suspends its disbelief. They believe in a story, and when the story is over, you go back to your normal life. It's a few kooks might carry that into their real life, but I think we really make too much of it, frankly. And, anyway, with our show, it's so far removed from reality that and that's what theater is. Theater is clash. Theater is violence. It always has been.
Well, there are many other opinions on this violence thing. How do you feel about that?
Well, I don't know. When I was a kid, we're speaking of how it affects children, I think.
Yes.
When I was a kid and we used to see things like Dracula or what have you, I mean, all it really did was make me want to hurry up and get home after the theater, rather than to be out there in the street and get caught out there where there might be something that I wasn't able to control. But I don't know about that violence thing. I think that parents have a great deal to do with whether their children grow up violent or not. Right. And I've always maintained that as a mother and father, that we should raise our children so that they'll be ready for society. Now, if we raise our children so that they're going to be ready to be fighters or violent people, then great, let's channel them in that area and try to get them into the armed forces. It'd be nice if we could get all the guys with guns that want to shoot in the Army and all of us that don't want to hurt anybody out.
Yeah.
Joanie, how about a show like this for your children? What is your opinion?
I don't think I'd let them watch it. I think youngsters are prone to be frightened over a show like this, particularly young people. I think they go to bed and have nightmares. And then even the fairy tales have violence in them. Even fairy tales like Snow White and Rose Red and all those things, they have violence in them. So it's a matter of trying to either keep them away from it altogether if you're frightened of it, or they see it. There are some things you can't control. But I wouldn't, if I had my way, I wouldn't let them watch.
Barbara, what about you?
But isn't the stress of violence, if you're going to relate it to the vampire character, he's kind of like a romantic image, and when he takes the bite, it isn't with with vicious intentions. But if you get a show on television where they have something like combat, now that's realism, and I think that's the thing that shouldn't be shown on television, because it makes violence too common and too acceptable. But this is a kind of like a fairy tale, there's a romance and there's a fantasy to it.
I think, too, as far as my interpretation of his role is concerned, one of the things that apparently has had appeal is the fact that Macbeth, I played that once, and this has very much affected this role. I found out in retrospect. I wasn't aware of it at the time I started in this, but Macbeth is a killer. But every time he kills, he has tremendous guilt about it. He's and I do this with a vampire. He is really fundamentally a very nice guy.
He killed him.
I'll play.
The things I've read about you, he's being very modest. The things I've read about you is that the women at home don't mind at all what you do.
I think
In fact, they kind of dig you. That's what I've been reading.
But from the mail that I get, it's they know that I suffer every time I have to do it. And I do. After all, a vampire has to live.
I got to put one thing in here. If the women do enjoy him very much, it's only because the husbands aren't putting on a better show at home.
We talked about the wide range of the role, and you brought another film clip. Would you tell us what we're going to see, Jonathan, please?
Yes, there's a, for those who know the show, there's a Dr. Hoffman, who is sort of my pal of sorts. She's a woman doctor, and she's taken a great
folks.
she takes a great interest in me, and she tried at one point to cure me, but she goofed. Instead of curing me, she made me appear, or at least I accidentally became the real age that I am, which is 175 years old. And this is what you will see now.
Carolyn, why are you here?
Oh, I was about to ask you the same question.
No time for questions. Just go now.
But this coffin, why is it here? What does it mean?
I can't tell you that now.
But it's here, just the way David described it. Why?
Just don't ask any questions. Just go now before it's too late.
It's already too late. What are you doing here, Carol? And now you see him.
But you can't be wrong, never.
But I am.
What's happened to your face? You're so old.
It won't be old much longer. You may scream all you want, but no one will hear you. But don't be afraid of me, my dear. I'm not going to hurt you. I wouldn't do anything to hurt my own flesh and blood.
We'll be right back.